We ain't found Sith.
Warning, the following podcast contains speculation, which may be confused with spoilers, although it may also contain spoilers. You have been warned.
Hello! And welcome to issue 65 of We Ain't Found Sith. I am your alien from another planet that adopted you when you were a kid. And
Allegedly.
I am also your host. My name's Evan, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Pedro,
Yes, sir.
and producer Von Gus.
Yoga Fire.
Gus, you can mouth along with the intro all you want. You can say it's not. You cannot say it's not consistent.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Consistency is key, my friend.
Yeah. Give the audience what they want, right? Anyways,
Exactly.
we are talking today Netflix series that just dropped over the weekend. We are talking Sparrow Academy. Oh no, wait. We are of course talking the season 2 of Umbrella Academy. Right off the bat, I mean, guys, quick thoughts. Like, what'd you think?
I really
was
liked it. I thought it was super entertaining. Just what's it called? On base with the first season. Thought it was good.
Pedro?
I fucking hated it, bro. It was trash. No, I'm just kidding. That shit was fucking fire. So good.
I really enjoyed it. It was a fun watch. I have a couple of gripes here and there, and we'll touch on them too as we go along. But all in all, great overall watch, a great overall experience, a great way to spend a Saturday night. That's what I did. I watched it all on a Saturday night since I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
But man, right, like what an intro! First of all, like that intro, what was it, first 20 minutes or so? That was freaking amazing. The jump takes right where the first season left off. But of course, Five's not fully in control of his power. Team gets split up. They land in Dallas, Texas, but they are spread across. Is it 4 years that they're spread across?
Yeah, I
Or
think
is
it's
it
4.
like
Yeah, I think
3
so.
years in a week?
No, I think it's 4 years. I think the first
Yeah.
one landed in 1960, 61, 62, 63, 64.
Yeah, they're all
No,
in a separate
64
year.
because 63 because by 64 Kennedy's dead. But yeah, but I feel like I want to say that like Fives landed like a week after Vanya. Like I think they both landed in 63.
Okay.
Because the first one that arrives is I think
Number 1.
Allison.
Right? Is it?
No, I
Okay.
think it was Klaus.
Was it Klaus?
I think he gets there first. That's why he has a cult.
Okay.
Oh,
Then
we have more
Allison
time.
arrives, obviously, in the middle of Dallas, Texas, during segregation and the civil rights movement.
Oh,
Then we've got I think Luther lands, and then I know Diego is after that. Who, by the way, do you guys notice Diego does superhero landing?
Yeah.
Like they all land like flat on like their face or whatever, but Diego, does the whole superhero landing thing. So, then Vanya, who immediately gets hit by a car,
Because Vanya.
because Vanya, and then like a week later, it's Fives arrives in the middle of like what looks to be freaking like an early version of what was that movie? Fucking Wolverines.
Wolverine?
Wolverines. the fucking 80s movie where the Russians invade.
Oh, Toy
Red
Soldier?
Dawn.
Oh, Red Dawn.
Red Dawn.
Yeah.
Freaking it's like the middle of Red Dawn. It's like there's fucking Russian tanks in the middle of Dallas, Texas.
Yeah.
How the fuck Russian tanks got dropped into Dallas, Texas?
Parachutes.
Oh, I guess they could come in through Mexico too.
That's true. That's true.
And it's the U.S. Army facing off against the Soviet Army, and then all of a sudden, our guys start showing up one at a time, and just fucking everything gets wrecked by a nuclear warhead. So right off the bat, I mean, we're off and running. We've got another apocalypse. Our boy from season 1, the guy
Which
with
one?
the, I want to say the guy with the woman's
Oh,
name.
I know what you're talking about. The big guy
Yeah,
that was hanging out with Mary J. Blige.
yeah. Um,
What
he
was his name?
lands.
Hazel.
Hazel. There we go.
Hazel.
He lands and okay. So I'm here to get you because we need to stop another apocalypse from happening. Um. So yeah. So like I mean, right off the bat, you've got all this great action, all this great stuff.
Hmm.
And then we get introduced to some of the new characters for the season. We've got the guy that owns the TV store, who's like a conspiracy theorist nut.
Oh yeah.
We've got the girl in the insane asylum, whose name escapes me right now. Uh, who's like the one that
Dude,
Diego gets into.
this is supposed to be your job to
It is,
remember
but
these
I've
names.
only watched the series once, and I watched it like in the early hours of the morning. You got to give me like another rewatch, and then I'll learn everyone's names. But yeah, I mean, we've got some good new characters. They introduced us to some weird shit this season. So like, I guess Pedro, I'll go to you first. Like what stands out to you? What did you really like? What did you think was awesome?
What I think was awesome. I mean, I really like the period piece thing. I like it when like shows or movies or whatever they do like a period piece where it's they were in the 60s and they were like how like Watchmen. My favorite thing about Watchmen is the fact that they're talking about events that never happened, but what if they did? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what this kind of was. It's like, what if we stopped Kennedy? You know what I mean? And what would happen? So it was like this whole like,
You mean what if we
like
stop the assassination of Kennedy?
yeah, you know what I meant. And then,
Well, but for our listeners, I'm just clarifying.
right, uh, and then like finding like it kind of like a detective show. Like, how did it happen? How did it get to that point? And then at the end,
Lila.
the payoff is so dope. That's what I like the most about it. And then aside from that, Klaus, everything about Klaus is awesome.
Her name is Lila.
Lila,
Lila.
because
There you go.
her backstory, everything's a lie.
Oh, I
Lila.
didn't even catch that.
So I'm telling you, it's one of those things where I went back and I caught up on some stuff, but like I haven't like committed everything to memory yet.
Yeah.
How about you, Gus? Like, what was some like real standouts for you?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to kind of agree with Lopes that the setting that they get dropped in, it was cool how their characteristics or their personalities, they all find like their own communities to live in during all that time. It's just funny. Diego's community is a mental institute. Yeah.
Well, because he can't quit the superhero biz. Like he's
Exactly.
got to be the hero. He's got to save Kennedy,
Mhm.
even though every single piece of pop culture that we've ever read, every single thing that we've ever watched, has always told you like, hey, if you change the past, there are bad consequences in the future.
Yeah.
Like,
well, not necessarily bad consequences, just that the future is not going to be the same. You're going to change something and you don't know what it is. But they just, pop culture always makes it bad. But the theory is that the future is just going to be different.
yeah. And I mean, and that's also dependent on what universe you're in and what rules they're using. But I always default to the Back to the Future rules, where if you change the past, it changes the future.
Yeah.
And if you go back and you save Kennedy, Lord knows what happens. So it's one of those things. Maybe we get out of Vietnam early, and like if your dad was a Vietnam soldier that met your mom in Vietnam, you're never born.
Mm-hmm.
And things like that. There's always ripples.
Yeah, exactly. Butterfly effect, man.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, Diego, you're supposed to be a hero, but you're also supposed to be smart. You did grow up in a school.
Exactly.
But man, like I will say, as much as I love that scene with the apocalypse and all of that,
Mhm.
um, stopping another apocalypse did feel like that was a little bit more of a like, okay, now I feel like you're just kind of repeating your season one arc. You know,
Yeah.
the fact that it was Vanya again, you know, except
Mhm.
for that little joke of like of course it is or something like that I think Diego says or something like that.
Yeah.
Like I would have much rather have seen like the consequence of Diego saving Kennedy's life and
Mhm.
that somehow causing like that. I feel like that would have been a
But I
better
think
way to.
that's the whole point of that show is that no matter what circumstance you get put in, it's always going to play out the same. You know what I mean? Like not exactly the same, but the outcome is always going to be her. You know what I mean? And how it gets to that point. That's
But I
the
don't. I
fun
don't.
about this season. It's
But I
how
don't
we
think
got
that's
there.
gonna happen again in season three. Like in season three, it can't be her again because
They
the only
no, you
the
can't
only
do
reason it
apocalypse
happened in
third season
season
in a row.
two. Exactly. I mean, first of all, it'll just be shitty writing. But the main reason is because the only reason that happened in season two, why she's the bomb again or the apocalypse again, is because she didn't learn how to control her powers. She became the apocalypse at the end of season one, and season two is her learning how to use her powers so that she's not always the apocalypse.
Yeah, but I don't think that's what the story of Umbrella Academy. The story of Umbrella Academy is all about time travel and like just just time travel in general, ripples in time, butterfly effect. That's all it is. So
Mhm.
it's like fate. It's always going to. I think it's always going to be her, and I think this is speculation. I think that the end of it with the Sparrow Academy is the aftermath of the Umbrella Academy not stopping Seven, and then he goes and recruits these other fucking kids, and in that universe, Ben is the only survivor. That's what I think.
Oh wait, who's seven?
Seven is she doesn't have a name. That's Vanya.
Um. Okay.
She never had a number, but she would be seven if she did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I feel like okay. So heavy spoiler territory. If you haven't seen it and you want to watch it, I don't know why you're still watching us because you've already spoiled some stuff.
Don't kick
Um.
people out, bro.
Hey, man, I'm just letting them know. You can always
I
come
mean,
back and see the
all
recording.
you can you can just say spoiler alert, but don't tell them to leave. They can leave on their own.
So okay, so Vanya saves the little kid, and
Yeah.
apparently some of her power transfers into him.
When she
So
when
we
she saves them from drowning, you're talking about.
right.
Hmm.
So now we have a superpowered being in 1963 where there previously was no superpowered being.
Yeah.
He's obviously by the end of that episode, he's got some degree of control because he's playing with that little sparrow toy and making it float. Which, by the way,
Hmm.
it's a sparrow toy. When they get to the future, it's the Sparrow Academy. I don't think that's a coincidence.
Of course not.
So now we've got a superpowered being. We've got Reginald Hargraves, who's now aware that superpowered beings exist.
Hmm.
He's obviously, you know, that was a huge fight that happened at the farmhouse, and all of them are wanted fugitives. Because supposedly now the assassination of Kennedy has been pinned on them.
Yeah.
So I don't doubt that like Hargraves finds the kid, creates the Sparrow Academy, and starts seeking out superpowered beings. Like so, it was
Yeah.
at this point maybe we've had a couple generations of superheroes. Maybe people with superpowers is a common thing in this world they've returned to.
Maybe. I'm interested in seeing what happened, the storyline with the kid, because by the time they go back to the future, he's got to be like 50 something years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was 1963. He's got to
Yeah.
be what, like eight
How
or
old was he? Like,
nine?
I think he was like 8 or 9. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so he's got to be like 60 something years old then.
Yeah. Yeah. He's got to be an old man. like retirement age.
Yeah.
So
Maybe no. I was gonna say maybe he is Hargreaves, but no, Hargreaves already existed as a grown up in that time.
or maybe Hargreaves was not the leader of Sparrow Academy. Maybe this guy was.
Yeah, but then what explain? How does that explain?
Although
Ben?
he's autistic, so unless like they cured his autism, I don't see him as the headmaster of a school.
Yeah.
Although you know,
Who knows? Or maybe
Pogo's a
the
talking chip, so
yeah, that's true. Maybe him getting the powers cures him.
That's what I was going to say,
Yeah.
because he was speaking regularly when he started like showing signs of Vanya's power.
Yeah.
either way, I look forward to season 3. It's gonna be interesting.
You know what I didn't like about it though?
All right,
I didn't like that the fucking new character they introduced had just everybody's power.
Lila, that she's
yeah.
she's
I
like
was-
a power mimic.
Yeah, I was like, dude, that's so cheap. Like, give her her own thing and make it like an obstacle to get past it. Like maybe I don't know, something, anything,
Well,
telekinesis, anything.
Keep in mind, she was created specifically to go up against them. So what better way to go up against them than by like mimicking their own powers at them? The only thing that I can think of is you got to give her a limit. Like,
was
she
she
can only
created?
mimic one power at a time.
Was she created?
I don't know.
No, she was born. She was born like the rest of them. They said it.
No, I mean like the writers of the show created her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
or the
that's-
writers of the comics. I don't know if she's a character in the comics.
No, I don't remember her in the second one. But
Now, the only thing that I
It was a
didn't
long
like
time.
about that, what I didn't like about that is that she's better at using their powers than they are. Like, she's mimicking them, which means that she hasn't had to use them before. It's not like she's
but she was
practiced that.
also raised by the handler and trained in all various forms of combat and stuff like that.
That's fine. What would have made more sense if she's using their powers against them, but
not really knowing how to use the powers.
No, like knowing how to use them, like learning as she's fighting them, but like using telekinesis or teleportation against Klaus and using the ghost thing against Fives. Like not.
Which I didn't see her use the ghost thing.
yeah, she didn't use
me
the
either.
ghost.
I didn't see her use that either.
Um,
But not
I
being
also-
better
I-
at
I
them
don't
at using
remember
their own
seeing her-
powers. That's dumb.
Yeah. Did she use super strength?
I
No.
don't remember. I don't
All she used was that energy wave, that
The energy wave, the teleportation,
and
the
rumor.
the fighting skills of Diego, and the rumor power that Allison has.
Oh yeah.
But other than that, I didn't see her use super strength. I didn't see her use the ghost power.
Yeah,
you
neither
know.
did I. I thought that was too cheap, though, man. I was like, the last battle, it's gonna be some chick that has everybody's power. That's fucking lame. Imagine you watching X-Men, and all of a sudden some dude shows up, and he just shrinks. Oh, you know what? They did that. It was called Wolverine. And look
X-Men
how
Origins
bad-
Wolverine.
and that's how bad that was. It was like, oh great, he has Cyclops powers. He has katanas coming out of his arms.
Yeah. Wasn't that Deadpool in
Yeah, it was quote unquote Deadpool. So stupid.
He who shall not be named.
That is the only thing I
Yeah.
didn't like about this show. But everything
Well,
else I thought was
he
amazing.
fixed Deadpool, so it's okay.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. You know what else I didn't really like was that when all the agents show up at the end, just to have Vanya wipe them out.
Oh,
was like,
that's the classic cinematic trope where you have like an army of people, just to have an army of people and they don't do anything. Have you seen those movies where there's like a crowd, an army of soldiers running to like an objective and they just get wiped out in one move? That's just a thing that happens for some reason. I don't know. They had that in Frankenstein, remember?
But
Frankenstein had
Really?
a war.
is it
Either
the
Frankenstein-
I Frankenstein or something?
Yeah,
like
so one of those, Frankenstein or Dracula, one of those fucking, they try to hip it. That was really bad.
that? But it's one of these things where like I was like, man, I was thinking about the badass scene that we had, the diner scene in the first season where Fives takes on like 20 of those guys, and I was like getting ready. I'm like, oh, it's an army of them, but it's all 7 of them. Like I
Yeah.
was getting ready, or all 6 of them, because Ben had already gone. But I was getting ready, like, oh man, like I can't wait to like see this, you know. And then Vanya just goes, you know, and claps them all out.
Exactly.
Like, oh man.
Yeah. There you go. Mario's talking about the Back to the Future law, where whatever you do in the past affects the future.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was kind of looking forward to some sort of battle also. You know what I mean? It didn't happen.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Oh, that's the only, now just to counter what I didn't like, what I really liked is how well these people, I don't know how you guys feel, but that kid plays an older dude so well. I don't even want to say he did such a great job. I think the cast did a really good job at looking at him like an authority figure, because everyone talks to him, looks at him, and acts as if he's like a 40, 50-year-old dude. And this guy is like 12 years old.
Yeah.
It's
But I
so
think
fucking well done.
he does a better job of playing old man fives than
And
actual
old man
old man
fives.
fives.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't like old man fives. I like little kid fives. The way he portrays an old man, I think
Yeah, I think they
fucking
should
awesome.
have. I think the old man should have like studied the kid's mannerisms and imitated, because there was none of that. You know, like
Which doesn't make sense to me because they're only supposed to be 15 minutes apart in age,
exactly.
so they should be the exact same person.
Exactly. But he didn't have any of the mannerisms.
Yeah.
Well, 15 minutes, more like now like a couple months apart. But either way, it's like they're
No, he
supposed to be
said,
the same age.
He said, "I'm 15 minutes older than you." He said to him.
Is that what he
to
said?
himself. Yeah.
Maybe well, I don't know. It's weird because like I'm taking into account the fact that like he traveled back in time. He lived through all of season 1. You know, that obviously had to have taken longer than 15 minutes. So
That's what he said. I'm just going by what he said. He's a genius.
unless he was just saying it like, you know, I was like, listen, I'm 10 minutes, I'm 15 minutes older than you. Like I'm not, you know, like our age difference is about the same.
He was talking literally.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's about actor skill. The older fives, just he should have done some homework and studied this guy's mannerisms, because he has a bunch of them. Like the way he talks, the way he like pops out his neck and like his shoulders pop out behind him when he's like.
Well, maybe Old Man Fives just doesn't have that like dexterity anymore.
Why not?
Maybe.
Well, because he did grow up as an assassin, you know, living an entire life. Probably got into a bunch of fights. His body's probably been through some shit.
But still, man, it would be cool to see that.
I don't have the same limberness and the same movement that I had at 20. Like,
yeah, but I bet you at like 100 years old, you're gonna say, all the time. You know
yeah, that's true.
So it's a mannerism. It's a mannerism. It's just something that's embedded in your code. You know what I mean? And
I'll still call people bro.
So call them bro. Yeah,
for sure.
But they didn't have that, and I was like, that was the only thing that was missing between. Because Kid Fives is such a good actor, dude. That kid kills it. And then
I wonder what kind of slang do like 90-year-old people say from when
probably
they were
the same
right
slang
now.
They said when they were kids.
That's what I'm saying. What is it? What is it right now? If you're 90 years old right now, what's the slang that you use?
Well, let's see. 90 years ago would have been what, the 1930s?
I mean, no, not if you. Let's say
you didn't say anything. You didn't say anything. It's just subtitles that would pop up underneath you.
No, it's not subtitles, Pedro. You would like motion like you're saying something, and then it would cut to black. And
the letters. Yeah, that's what it is. That's what they would say.
Oh man.
I'll tell you when I get to 90. It's probably going to be the same dude who's like, bro, I saw this movie, dude. It was fucking rad.
90 years ago was the 30s, right? The 30s?
Yeah.
Yeah, 90 years ago was like 1930.
Kind of shit.
Isn't
2020? So 100 years ago would have been 1920.
Well,
yeah. 90 years ago would have been 1930.
You don't start using slang until you're teens. So if you're born in the 30s, you become a teenager like late 40s, early 50s. So is that greaser?
You'll have
what were the slang terms used?
Daddy-o and shit?
Yeah, you'll have the frog. Nah, say a
Daddy-o?
lot of that.
Yeah.
Oh, that stuff sure is swell.
Swell. Oh, yeah. Old people say swell. Yeah, that's true. Swell is slang.
Oh, that's the bee's knees.
Bee's knees. Yeah.
Dude, when that means when we're old, saying bro is gonna sound like saying swell to us sounds now.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah.
That's really weird to
Be
think
90
about.
years old in the nursing home. You're gonna see
Yeah.
the nurse in the aisle. Hey bro,
Hey bro,
could you bring me a bedpan over here?
come here, little bro.
Oh,
Grandpa, I don't even understand what you're saying. It's
you go,
just,
did you go to the bingo game yesterday? It was lit.
It was lit. Oh God, that's
Did
Oh.
awesome.
you see Maria? For 89 years old, she looks real fly. I don't know if that's all her. That depends, but she got a fat ass.
but let's bring it back to the fucking shit. That scene also really well done. The sit-in by the Black Movement.
Yeah.
That shit was fucking. Well, not necessarily that one scene, but the whole arc when she goes back and she makes him burn himself with the
I
coffee.
I like
awesome.
that she goes back. She doesn't have her voice, so she has to learn to like live without it, and then eventually to the point where like she's like, I haven't used my powers in like 3 years because I like the fact that I've had to like work for things and earn things and stuff like that. Of course, back in a time when you could pay rent living in a house while sweeping up a beauty shop.
Exactly.
Yeah, try doing that today.
Seriously, can't even get an efficiency in Hialeah.
No. You gotta do the day shift at the beauty shop, sweeping it, and then you gotta go to your night job at Burger King.
So
Yeah.
whose arc was your favorite? Like, if you had to like rate it, because I really liked Klaus's arc. It's Klaus, not necessarily Klaus. Ben. I liked Ben's arc. Ben was such a cool character in this show, and
I liked him this season a lot too.
I think Ben got a great ending.
Yeah,
The whole thing of like, I died 14 years ago. Everything else has just been bonus.
17 years ago.
Was it 17?
Yeah.
But I think Allison had the most growth. Like,
Yes.
I think like as a character, she probably had the best arc. Luther just okay. He went from being like the goody two shoes, I do everything my daddy says, to I'm an enforcer for the mob.
Yeah.
But other than that, it wasn't much like he didn't have much personal growth.
yeah, it's funny because in the comic books, Space Boy, which is Luther, is my favorite character because of how he's pretty much like like, I don't know if you've seen the design from the comic book. He's literally a kid's head or a dude's head on a giant blue monkey's body. It's literal. And in this one, they obviously made it make sense. But he has like a ray gun, and he has like space shit all over him. And
Do you remember how he gets that big monkey body?
well, in
Wasn't
the
he, like-
show,
In the
he got
show.
injected. He got injected by
Yeah,
that
I was gonna say,
serum.
didn't he get into like something happened to him?
Yeah.
He was dying or something like that, and then they injected him with it like as like to save his
Remember-
life.
And in this season, he shows the serum that he created to save. It was the same serum to save Pogo, and that's probably why it turned him into a monkey, because it was like made for monkeys.
Oh, okay.
That's probably
that
what it
makes
was.
sense.
Yeah, they did a good job making sense of a fucking ridiculous character, like a fucking giant ape with a human body. They did a good job making sense. But in the comic books, he's so much more interesting because he's seen shit. You know what I mean? In this show, he's just like, "Ma, I like my sister." Brr. That's about it. But in the comic book, that guy's a space dude, space cadet. He's gone through the most missions and shit.
Okay, so Luther, we like that he made him make sense, but we don't think his storyline.
No, his
He grew
story is
that much.
basic, bitch.
Yeah, Allison, obviously, I think grew the
Really
most.
good.
Diego's
Diego's is
didn't
fun,
really learn
bro.
anything.
No, but it was
Yeah,
a fun little story he had. It was just him.
Yeah.
It was a love story. He was falling in love with some crazy chick.
Yeah, and it's a good story, and I enjoyed it. But like I don't think his character grew from it. Do you?
Oh,
You
no,
think-
no. I'm not saying that. I'm saying which one did you enjoy? I enjoyed their little escapades, the little adventures that they did.
Yeah,
I
and
like.
even at the end, like he didn't grow at all. Because even at the end, after Vanya doesn't blow up, he still tries to go save Kennedy. Like, dude, stop trying to change.
Well, I don't think at that point he was
Time.
trying to save Kennedy. I think
No,
at that
yeah.
point he
No,
just
he
thought,
was.
No, he straight up
his
said
dad.
it.
He
No,
straight
he
up
straight up said it. We
"Now I can go
already
save
know.
Kennedy."
We already know it's Vanya. I'm going to go save Kennedy. He just bucks it.
Oh, is that
Yeah.
what it is?
Yeah.
Then obviously Ben, we get closure, but then we meet Ben's, other universe doppelganger or whatever, who's apparently the leader of the Sparrow Academy. Klaus is a
Klaus is one of my favorites too, bro.
like his storyline.
His is
I
the most
kind of
fun.
like that he got sober for a while, but then he falls off the wagon. And, I don't know.
No, I just
Um,
like it the way it's written. Like that's another thing
yeah.
that this show does really well. They establish their characters and they work in the confines of that character. You know what I mean? Like at the very end, or not even the very end, when Diego meets his mom, this guy like drops to his knees because he's the biggest mama boy of all time. So when he saw it, he was like, he didn't know how to react. You know what I mean? Because he lost his mom in the first season, and it's just like this whole thing. Like he's in love with his mom and like a motherly figure, and he doesn't even know how to like disconnect himself in his other timeline. He's just like stuck with that. And then Luther he's supposed to be the goody two shoes, and he's doing corrupt shit like winning staged fights for money for a mob boss and whatever that guy was. And then you have not Luther, what's his name, Klaus, who's just a piece of shit, and he continues to be a piece of shit all the way through. And it's so good. Like everything you expect him to do. They even say it like it's like an off-screen joke. They're like, "Oh, what happened to Klaus? Oh, he started a cult," and they're like, "Yeah, sounds about right." Yeah, that's like literally what you would imagine him to do.
But what I like about it is but even though he's a piece of shit and he continues to be a piece of shit, his character grows. Like his character doesn't just I make the same mistakes I made in the first season and all of that. Like they're evolving and they're growing and they're changing.
Yeah, but he's still as selfish as he was in the first one because he tried saving the guy.
I like how Vanya gets amnesia, doesn't remember anything about her past, and all of a sudden she becomes lesbian. And I don't recall anything in the first season that mentions that any kind of bisexuality or anything like that. But wasn't she falling in love with the guy in the first season?
Yeah, the killer. She was
the
in love with the
fanboy or
killer.
whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, so just a little hint would have been hey, yeah, I've dated guys and girls or whatever. Just a quick little thing they could have dropped at some point.
It was weird, but I think it was implied that she grew into it because she was having this intimate connection with this other woman. Because in the beginning, it didn't look like she was intimate, not intimate, but she was feeling anything for this woman. She was just confused on why she exists. What the fuck am I doing here?
Well,
and then
also,
later she kind of builds into it, and then it gets to the point where I kind of like this chick.
Well, but also one of the things with Vanya is Vanya's never really had a friend.
True, that's
they love her and they all they oh Vanya, our little no power sister and all that, and then they find out she has powers and that her powers would destroy everyone. But she's never had when this lady connects with her I don't think she's ever had a connection like that before.
Yeah, but she doesn't remember any of that. Remember?
Yeah, but there's certain things that if you've never experienced them before, somehow every amnesia story I've ever read or ever seen, there's always a little bit of the person still inside.
Yeah.
Because you get amnesia and you don't remember your details of your life, but you still are the same person you were before, and you're still I've never seen the amnesia story where the villain gets amnesia and becomes the hero. It always winds
Jason
up
Bourne.
but Jason Bourne was technically always a hero. He was a government agent. He
Yeah,
just
he
went
was
from
he was
doing
an
what they told
assassin.
him.
Yeah, he was an assassin, and he kind of knew that what he was doing was wrong, questionable. But then when he gets amnesia, he gets amnesia, and he's just maybe.
But I feel like if you have a story where you have a villain, and you give your villain amnesia, and they wind up using their powers for good, they always get to the point where they cross the line into villainy. you know, and like I've never like because deep down at their core, they're still the same person they've always been. So like with Vanya, it's like okay, yeah, she has amnesia, but somehow like deep down, this connection that she's formed with this person, she knows that it's a real, genuine connection, and like she's been longing for it or something like it's I don't know. It's just one of those things.
That whole plot line was I didn't really like just because I wasn't convinced on any of it. Like her having
It
amnesia,
felt forced.
I didn't believe it. The whole romance with the other woman, I mean, it was paced right. I think, like, because she, like, the woman, I forgot her name, Sissy, I think it was.
I think so, yeah.
Sissy was confused, not confused, but like, I wouldn't even say she was lesbian. She was just like open. Let's fucking try something new, you know, because she was so unhappy with what her situation has
Well,
been built
she's
to
got
her.
a piece of shit husband.
Yeah,
You know, her husband's off at a bar on a weekday night, trying to like strike a business deal with Jack Ruby, who's a known mobster.
yeah.
You know, he's not exactly like the best of people. You obviously, you know, you get the impression the guy's abusive. So yeah, so it's one of those things where
No,
like,
but he wasn't abusive, was he? Did he? He never hit her.
No, he was.
pretty
verbally-
sure
Verbally
we
abusive.
may not have
This
seen it,
was
but I'm pretty
this
sure it
was the
implied.
'60s. That shit was so fucking normal. Like that was just the dude makes the money.
I mean,
and
lots of shit was normal. Doesn't mean that it's cool.
no, I'm not saying it's cool. I'm saying that it wasn't necessarily a trait that he was
Listen,
playing.
as
I don't
nice
think.
a person as Sissy is, you know, I'm sure she would have walked into downtown Dallas there, and she would have probably been one of those people shocked that Allison walked into the diner. You know,
Yeah, exactly. It was like a
Mhm.
normal thing. So
yeah,
like,
we like her because
I don't think he was
Vanya likes
abusive.
her,
He
but-
was super. What is it? How do you say that word?
Machismo.
Machismo. I don't know. I was trying to think of the English way to say it, but I can't remember.
Machismo.
No,
Is there any-
masochist.
no, man.
No,
No,
not masochist.
masochist is when you like pain, bro.
Yeah, when you like pain. Yeah, what is it?
No,
Matriarchal.
misogynist.
Misogynist.
Oh, misogynist.
That's it.
Yeah.
He's very misogynist, but that was part of the times. You know what I mean? Oh, like the entire time he's like the breadwinner, the bread earner. You know?
Yeah.
What I mean?
We should have just rolled with it. We should have turned it into one of those memes where it's like machismo to masochist to
Yeah,
to
all
like
the same
Machu
thing.
Picchu. Like, you know that,
Machu Picchu.
you know that meme, right?
He was Machu Picchu, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris Hahn, man, that's your. Where are you? That's Chris Hahn's favorite meme.
Yeah.
Yamile says chauvinistic.
Chauvinistic. There you go. That's a good one.
Okay. Yeah, that's another one. Although
Yeah.
I've never heard anybody. I've heard somebody be called like a chauvinist, but chauvinistic is not a word you hear a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not. I know their terms are used for men. I don't know the textbook definition, the difference between a chauvinist or a misogynist. Like I don't. I know what a masochist is, and a lot of people who you would say are chauvinistic or misogynistic, you could also kind of say are maybe masochistic. But you know, they're definitely not sadist. But yeah, like have we? Oh, and then Fives' character arc, where he's, you know, I love that little bit of advice that like that Reginald gives him of like, you know, you've been trying to jump back, you know, years and months. Try just jumping back a few seconds.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and he's like, what's that gonna do? It's like you never know. A few seconds will be, and then of course at the end he jumps back like 7 seconds, and he winds up saving the day.
Mm-hmm. He's my favorite character.
Who?
Fives.
I think it's just because of the actor.
Oh yeah. Fives is.
Maybe.
It's
Yeah,
just the fact that this teenager is in there holding his own with.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say it
Great
was. It's not even necessarily his acting. It's just the entire direction of what everybody has. Everybody needs to see him as an adult figure, and they convincingly do it.
Yeah.
I believe that he's the adult. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Although I think that's also like partly.
You got to
the
give him
writing.
his props, though.
No, for sure. I'm not taking anything away from him, but I'm not. I don't want to knock anybody else because you know they all they all contribute to like the believability that he's actually an old dude, you know.
Yeah.
Like that scene where they're both that scene where one and
Mhm.
Fives and old Fives are in the bar and they're trying to negotiate with either. One
Yeah,
looks like
yeah.
a child, bro. He looks like a baby, and the other two are trying to like. It was so well done. I was just like, man, I believe this
I
shit.
love the scenes where he's in a bar drinking, because like, picture you go to a bar, you see this fucking 12-year-old just drinking there, like
Yeah.
wearing a fucking
School
school
uniform.
outfit. Yeah, it's so
Schoolboy
funny.
uniform.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that shit's hilarious.
Which I don't know, man. That whole thing is kind of trippy because he does a miscalculation. He jumps through the time hole,
Hmm.
but like it's his consciousness and his old body, and that's just weird. Because like, if you would have told me like, oh yeah, he jumped back in time and something happened, and he wound up in his 15-year-old self, but he's still wearing like the old man clothes, I'm like, okay, I get it. Something happened. His body transformed.
Yeah,
But it's like, no, he's wearing the uniform because like his consciousness jumps into his old body, and his old body went like
Oh, is that what happened?
it's something along. Well, I don't
I
remember
thought I
what
thought he just put it on because he was at the academy.
is that. What it is? I thought he arrived in the outfit.
I don't remember.
I don't
really
remember that either. I don't remember that.
No, I don't remember. But
Watch
it would make
that.
more
I can watch
sense.
that
It
episode.
would make more sense that he was trying to jump, but he physically jumped instead of like he went
Mentally.
back in time with him, well, like with his
Well,
physical body. So like he kind of
but
rewind.
it's
You know what I mean?
yeah, and it's also weird because his body is not physically in 2019. So it's like because in 2019 he's in the future in the apocalypse. So it's like a weird. It's
Time
like a
travel,
weird.
bro. It's just
It's
how it
weird
is. It's
time
weird.
space alignment thing that happens with him.
Yeah.
The what do you think of all of a sudden now we've got their mom, quote unquote, knows that Reginald is in like this secret cabal that was planning to assassinate the president, and that winds up assassinating the president. And then of course that reveal at the end of like I promised her that we wouldn't harm the president, and they did it anyway.
And then
So
he takes off his
now it looks like he's
face.
on the out for them too.
I
He's not,
think. I
he's not on
think
the out for them because he kills them all.
so.
Well, but I'm sure there are other people involved that
Yeah.
like it's just him by himself. But then there were other people I'm sure who maybe weren't in the room or something like that.
Mhm.
I think this is just my interpretation. I think that the Sparrow Academy is a direct response on what happened to that. I don't think that anything that we saw was supposed to happen. It was all like altered. So like he wasn't supposed to be part of it. It was supposed to be Fives. Fives was supposed to kill the president. That's originally what he was supposed to do, but then he changes, has a
Well,
change
he
of
had
heart.
to like make sure it happened.
Yeah. And I think because of that, then they killed the president, and then he was upset about it, and then he kind of became the quote unquote bad guy instead of the good guy. Instead of creating Umbrella Academy, he created Sparrow Academy as a villain because he didn't like that. That's what I think is happening here because it all kind of lines up, and I think his first quote unquote son is probably going to be what's that kid's name? The autistic kid.
I don't remember his name.
I forgot his name too. God damn it. We just saw this shit. And I forgot everyone's names, bro.
I know it's one of those things.
I saw that shit in one day, dude. That's how good it was. I saw it all in one day.
Maybe that's why we don't remember because we binge watched the whole thing instead of like letting it sit in and like sink into our brains.
That's true.
Well, no, usually I watch it multiple times. But
And they said his name a million times because they were always
Yeah.
worried about him.
Because
So.
they were
like
and when they were looking for him, Harlan.
Harlan, that's right.
Harlan, yeah. So I think
Yeah,
he's
when
the
they were
first
looking
one.
for him, they were screaming his name all over.
I think he was the first one. Again going back
Yeah,
to what
that would make
Eben
sense.
said. He had
Yeah.
the sparrow. He was spinning the sparrow thing, and
Mhm.
Now my question is he an alien or not, bro?
Hargreaves?
Hargraves?
Hargreaves pretty much made
Yeah.
it obvious that he's an alien, but is he? Is that the real Hargreaves? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't remember in the comic books if he's an alien. That's why I'm bringing this up because I don't think he was an alien in the comics.
I mean, if the show leads you to believe that he is an alien or something like that,
Yeah. Interesting shit.
which makes sense.
in the show, in the first season, they hinted that he was an alien, and in this one, they pretty much showed you that he was an alien when he took his face off.
They hinted it really in season
Yeah,
one.
and yeah, he was like unless that was the comic.
Wasn't there the scene when the mom was dying that he's like sitting on a windowsill and there's like it looks like he's on another planet and
yeah, it was super
rocket taking
trippy.
off?
Yeah, it was super trippy.
Yeah.
I remember there was something about like outer space, and he was there with somebody else. I think it was either the mom or Pogo. I don't remember who it was. One of those two people.
Pogo.
Pogo was awesome in the first season. Second season,
Baby Pogo.
Baby Pogo was just baby Pogo.
I kind of want a baby Pogo.
Are you kidding me, bro? You see what he did? He almost ripped 5's ear off.
But that's because 5 is not his boy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He later raises 5. Talk about that.
Yeah, dude. That's everything I've ever heard about people who have chimps is
oh yeah, they throw their
like,
shit.
it never really ends all that great.
No.
For the person or the chimp. Like they are ornery animals, man. They are, and they're also stronger than a human being.
That's true.
You know.
That's true.
Remember the lady that like a chimp ripped her face off or something like that in a coffee shop or something?
No.
It was something like the lady had a chimp as a pet and like she met her friend at the coffee shop or something like that. And the chimp just I guess decided to like it didn't like the way this lady looked or something. So it lunged at her or something like like oh, you know. I mean, if you're gonna have a primate, you know, something small.
Yeah, one of those little guys.
Yeah.
The outbreak monkey.
Yeah. COVID 20.
Yeah.
In fact, that's what you should name him. You should name him COVID 20.
Lil COVID.
But man, like now what? Now we gotta wait like 2 years for another one.
When was?
Hey man,
1?
it's all good because we get the boys in a couple of weeks.
That's
true. Wasn't season 1 last year?
Yeah.
First one was last year, but like right now, like nobody can film anything.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So it's like everything's delayed. Like we were supposed to get Stranger Things season 4.
Mm-hmm.
I think over the 4th of July weekend, weren't we? And like that's been delayed because they couldn't finish filming, and you know, I mean, right now, like everything's on hold. By the time we get to season 3, 5's is gonna have hair all over his face.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem I see with this shit is that
because the actor's 16 now.
He's 16, yeah.
Like not only is he gonna have his hair, he's probably gonna come back. His voice might be like 2 octaves lower. Like, they're gonna have to come up with some sort of story where they put him in an aging tube or something.
That's always tricky, man.
Yeah,
all these movies, even with actors now, like, have you noticed that like when we were kids, action movie stars were in their 20s, and now they're like in their 50s? Have you noticed that shit? It's crazy.
I think they were like in their 30s when we were kids.
Whatever.
Because I think Bruce Willis, Sylvester Stallone, and Arnold Schwarzenegger were all like in their 30s when they made the movies that we know them for.
Yeah,
wasn't Neo
Keanu Reeves?
Keanu Reeves 20, like in his 20s when he did Matrix?
No, man. Keanu Reeves was in his 20s when he did like Bill and Ted in the 1980s.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, that guy's a vampire. That guy looked like he was in his 20s in Matrix.
What about Point Break? He had to be like
maybe he was 20s. In his late 20s.
I love that movie.
Speed. I thought in Speed he was also in his 20s. Whatever. But my point being, people were much younger, and now we have like Paul Rudd in his 50s, and he's Ant-Man. You know what I mean? It's like, what the hell?
Keanu Reeves is 55 years old.
That's awesome.
And Point Break was 1991.
Ooh, so that's like 30 years ago. Next year.
Yeah. So that he would have been about 25.
Yeah.
All right. So, but Keanu wasn't really considered an action star.
Oh yeah, he was. Yeah, he was, bro. He wasn't on the level. He wasn't on the level of like Terminator or whatever. Those movies. But it was like you had fucking Keanu Reeves. Who was the guy who did Robin Hood?
Men in Tights.
Kevin Costner.
Kevin
Kevin
Costner.
Costner.
No,
Kevin
Carrie
Costner.
Eels.
Just had to throw that in
I love that movie, man.
there.
I'm on the east side. I'm on the west side.
What was it? Wasn't Dave Chappelle in that movie?
Yeah, that's his line.
But yeah,
Oh,
my
that's
point
a
is
great movie.
they were so much younger when we were
Yeah.
kids. Like action stars were much younger, and now it's like people don't age anymore. You're in your 50s and you're doing like action movies, and people are believing it. Like Tony Stark in the comic books is supposed to be like in his late 20s, early 30s, and we have fucking Robert Downey Jr. in his like 50s just hanging out playing this alcoholic character. Like, whoa.
How old is Robert Downey Jr. for real?
I don't know.
Evan, can you look that up first? What are you looking at, Evan?
I'm on it.
What are you doing?
Well, I was looking. I wanted to see how old was Arnold in Terminator.
Oh,
And
okay.
I know that Arnold is
Yeah,
77,
Robert.
and Terminator was 84.
Robert's 55, bro.
Chris Hunt is here.
Downey Jr. is 55 right now.
Robert
Han
Downey
is
Jr.
here.
is 55.
So that's my
So-
point. People
So
are
Robert
old
Downey
as
Jr.,
fuck.
Keanu Reeves, same age.
Yeah, but
But
now,
but Robert Downey Jr. looks 55. He looks 45. Keanu still looks like he could pass for 30.
no, Keanu is like
30
And
something,
that's,
like
and
late
that's
30s.
because
Late
alcohol and drugs.
30s. Yeah, Keanu looks like late 30s. He not 30.
But Keanu is like the guy that when River Phoenix died was like, all right, I'm done with all the heavy drinking and all the drugs, and I'm gonna go get into yoga and Buddha and I'm gonna take care of myself. My body's a temple. And Robert Downey Jr. was like, cocaine and blow, cocaine and rum, cocaine and scotch, like, and of course,
He was on that Charlie Sheen diet.
yeah. Bro, Robert Downey Jr.
Charlie
in the-
Sheen was
in the
another.
90s
Wasn't he an action star, or was that fucking parody movie?
Charlie Sheen, definitely
Charlie-
the parody
He
movie.
did that Navy SEALs movie. That's a legit action.
He's
noir.
been in like some action style movies. I love. I want to say is it called The Chase? Where like it's
The
him
Chase.
and I think it's him and Christy Swanson that like he steals
Never
a
seen that
car and
movie.
he's making a run for the border and the Mexico border or something like that.
I've never seen that movie. Even heard of that movie.
I
don't know.
love that movie because
He's in Money Talks.
back in the day I had a thing
He's
for
in
Christy
Money Talks
Swanson.
with Chris Tucker.
Yeah.
I mean,
But Charlie Sheen's been like in some action stuff. Yes, Chris, that is the candy bar. That is the one with the candy bar. He holds up the convenience store. He takes her hostage with a candy bar. I think it was $100,000 bar or something like that. She's driving like a Ferrari or something in that movie.
I have no idea what movie you're talking about, man.
Man, there was some movies from our childhood that like plot wise there wasn't a ton going on, but they were fun.
That's true.
Like
That's a thing that happens.
Yeah, but not so much anymore because like now it's like studios won't give you a movie unless they've dropped like $2 billion on it. You know, so it's like so everybody and their mother's a writer on the movie.
Yeah.
You know, it used to be, you know, that it was just like okay, we've got a premise for a movie and we're gonna give you like, you know, 12 million, go film it, and then, you know, we'll see. And they put out, you know, 60 movies a year that were $12 million movies, and some of them hit big and some of them didn't hit at all, and at the end they made money. But like now it's like, no, everything's gotta be like a $300 million blockbuster, and if the movie doesn't pull in $300 million on the first weekend, it's a flop.
Yeah.
You know, and we can't really count on anything else because we're only putting out like 2 movies in the year. You know, which speaking of, did you guys hear the news from Disney?
Mulan.
Yeah,
That they're going straight to Disney
so
Plus.
it's going to Disney Plus, but if you want to see it when it drops, it's going to cost you $30 to be
On
able to
Disney
access
Plus.
it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So like it's gonna be on Disney Plus, but you need to pay extra if you want to see it because they're like, forget dropping it on demand through the cable companies and all of that, like all these other studios have done. We're gonna drop it on demand on our own platform, and it's because apparently they're losing a lot of money with all these closures and shit like that they've had to do this year. Which, I mean, you would think Disney, like, you should have a little squared away for a rainy day, no? Oh, did we lose Gus?
I think we did. Look at his silly face.
Look at him there, just like I hope nothing bad happens. He's the one that's hosting the stream, no?
Well, if it happens, it happens.
Yeah. All right. Anyways, should we start wrapping it up, Pedro? We're at 55 minutes.
Sure, I guess. I mean, I think we covered all of Umbrella Academy.
I know that there was a ton of like sparrows all over the episodes. Sparrows on menus and sparrows on artwork on the walls. Sparrows on the little like artwork here and there. Sparrows on chocolate bars. Like there's a good YouTube video that's all about that.
Huh. All right. Well, how do we end this if he's not controlling it?
I know. I don't know. He's the one that has access to the controls. I'm hoping he's like, logging back on. Otherwise, this is just gonna be like the stream that never. Unless we like, I guess if we just both leave.
What heavy? Chris is asking.
He says keep going. So
Chris is saying if we've seen some heavy X-Files shit. What are you talking about, Chris? Explain yourself.
Yeah, Chris. I mean, I know that the Pentagon is talking about like they found a UFO or something. Oh, and Umbrella Academy. Yeah, the Umbrella Academy was all about the conspiracy theories this season. Oh, Gus had to switch to his cell phone.
Yeah.
Can you hear us, Gus? Are we coming in loud and clear? Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you.
There's a little bit of a delay on the video, but we can hear you.
Whatever. I don't know. My internet went down, so.
Oh, it happens, bro.
Your internet goes down a lot. This is the first time it happens on our show.
Yeah, dude. What the fuck? This is not cool.
Must be all this rain and thunderstorms.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of that hurricane was vicious. You saw that shit?
Don't get me started on that, bro. Don't get me started on that.
Listen, bro. Any hurricane that does not hit us, I'm perfectly fine with. I closed up the shutters in my back and all of that, and I would much rather get everything prepared and not need to be prepared than to like need to be prepared.
That's true.
Like, were you guys here during Andrew?
I was. Yeah.
So you guys remember like the devastation that was everything like south of like 200th Street.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, this whole area was fucking. Oh, Kendall over here was fucked up, but when you start going down, oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah,
that got annihilated.
So definitely that's something that.
Oh look, Chris also lost connection.
Huh. There you go. But he said there was there's a thing on Reddit about like the Umbrella Academy and X-Files. Again, X-Files was on for so long and did so many different like conspiracy theory things that I'm sure X-Files is connected to like everything. So
yeah,
this is one of those things. Anyways, I think we're gonna wrap up for the night. No news, anything coming out for this coming week.
Have you read the Umbrella Academy comics?
I've not read it.
I haven't. I've read the first two. I haven't read the third one. I just bought it.
I believe that they came out in the period of time when I stopped buying books.
Ah.
Well,
so it's just one of those things where, like, it came out after I had already stopped buying, so I never got into it.
They came out in college because that's when I was reading it.
Yeah, remember I started college before you.
Right, dude. You're 4 years older than me. That's not that big a difference.
4 years. 4 years is a significant gap when it comes to like being in school and being and things like that. That's not
Right, but I'm talking about me, dude. I'm not talking about you. I'm saying when I was in college.
Not
That
to
was
mention
like
that, like, you could have
2006.
been in your third year in college and you still would have been in college. Whereas, like, your third year, I was like 7 years out of high school already. So,
Right. So
but no,
2006. That was the point of me saying that.
no. So they came out in 2006. I was done buying books by then.
Really? I met you in like 2000, what, 12?
I think I was buying trades at that point.
Oh, that's
But
what I
like my
mean.
weekly,
I never actually bought the books. I bought
oh
the
no,
trade.
I used to have a pull list, and I used to get my books every week. And man, it was I mean, it was that's basically what I was working for. It was like to pay school and to pay for my weekly comic books, because it was not uncommon to like walk in on a Tuesday or Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday was comic book day. Tuesday was DVD day. But it was not uncommon to go into the store on Wednesday and drop 20 to 30 bucks on books, and then that was like a weekly thing.
Yep, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
I still do that once in a while.
I think 06.
Yeah.
I want to say it was like 06 or something, or 07.
Yeah, the third
when
trade.
Anime Hurricane closed.
Oh, I don't remember.
Oh man, I remember that place.
That's when I was like, all right, I'm done. Because that's where I had my pull list at. They were, for a while, they were on Coral Way and like 108th. And then they wound up moving into the other shopping center that was like right on 107th and just past Coral Way. And then when they closed, I was like, all right, I'm done with the weekly thing. So I started buying trades for a while. But then eventually that ended also. I still haven't decided if I'm buying that Sandman collection.
Just do it, bro.
It's my favorite book. I recommend it to everybody, but
I just don't know where I would stick that box set.
Neither do I.
Like, real estate in my room is starting to get kind of short, man. I need a house. I need like a house with a room just for my stuff.
Facts.
That like doesn't have a
True.
bed in it. It's just like, because I could fit so much more stuff if my room didn't have a bed in the middle of it.
But that's like more about reading. That comic book is fucking phenomenal.
Just put like a spinner rack in the middle of my room. That's gonna happen one day. I'm gonna have a house, and you're gonna walk into it one day. You're gonna walk into one of the rooms. I'm like, oh yeah, that's like the office, or that's like the collection room, and it's like it's gonna be set up like a comic book store. There's just gonna be like two shelving racks in the middle with just stuff on both sides of it. Like, it's like what? I needed space. What are you gonna do? I want like my movie collection's pretty big. I want to do like when you walk into like one of those old movies and like they walk into the library and it's just like a room full of books. That's gonna be me with movies one day. It's gonna be walls full of like DVDs and Blu-rays.
That's where I'm at with my comics right now. I got two bookshelves full, and I'm gonna get another one.
Anyways, I've been trying to wrap this up for the last 10 minutes. So,
Yeah, seriously, bro.
Guys, thank you for joining in. If you were on the chat tonight, please make sure let us know in the comments, what did you think of Umbrella Academy season 2. If you've got show ideas, throw them into the Facebook group. We're always listening and we're always listening and looking for things to talk about. We want to know what you guys want us to talk about. If you want us to dissect anything in particular. I know we've gotten some requests to do Fifth Element. Maybe that might be something we'll do. I'm not against it. But if there is no news or no new things that come out this weekend, then I think that's going to be that might be what we end up talking about.
All right.
Gus, I know that Friday night, Lemon City Happy Hour.
Yes.
Okay. Any guests this week? You got anything lined up?
Yesterday we had a guest on yesterday's show from the owner of Life Brand, which is big in like South Florida sports.
Yeah, you guys were all talking about basketball last night. Yep. Found it a bit boring.
NBA bubble. If you're not a fan of NBA, then I don't know.
I am not a fan of the NBA, man. I'm not.
It's all good.
You know, the only basketball I'll watch is the last 2 minutes of the game if the game is close.
Yeah.
You know.
Mhm.
Pedro, you're still on Ghost of Tsushima?
Yeah, I'm almost done, but I'm trying to 100% this bitch.
All right. Well, we'll expect your review when it's done.
Eventually.
Let us know with enough time that we can watch the gameplay, the storyline footage.
Sure. Yeah, the gameplay, the story is pretty bad, but the gameplay is fucking dope.
And how do you guys feel about doing like a soundtrack episode?
I'm about it.
All right, guys, tell us what you think. We did scores. We talked about the musical scores. Maybe we should do a musical soundtrack and like movies that had great soundtracks. Other than that, we ain't found Sith on all the social media platforms. We ain't found Sith on all your favorite podcatchers. And see you later, Sith heads.